And thank you very much for your company on the marketplace. Now, to our very first story, the EU ambassador to Ghana, William Hanna, has said Ghana will no longer directly benefit from aid from the European Union. He told the media in an interaction the decision will ensure aid received by the country is tailor-made for maximum benefit. Now, Mr. Hanna also explained the new plan will protect as well as increase the level of investments.
Working with Ghana for 40 years of cooperation. But I think if you look at the future, we will be perhaps doing less of direct aid in the old-fashioned project way and more looking at trade and investment. If you read the new plan that was launched a couple of weeks ago, it's a different approach to addressing the Sustainable Development Goals. It's saying what countries need is investment and jobs. It's a real focus on that area, and that I think will be more our focus. And I think that's good for Ghana, because I mean Ghana has made a lot of progress over the last few years, attaining a middle income status, doing well. But sometimes if you do that, you might lose out. I think the new programs we're preparing, trade and investment, are tailor-made for Ghana. They will, for example, there's a guarantee fund that links up small and medium-sized enterprises and loans, and that's a whole area where there's a lot of scope. We're already doing it. Our European Investment Bank is already lending to banks in Ghana for on-lending to small and medium-sized enterprises. That could be scaled up. So I see us maybe working more with the private sector, more with banks, more with investment, more with that area, and a little bit away from the more traditional aid approach, which has served its time.
Meanwhile, the head of EU delegation in Ghana, William Hanna, also says he believes Ghana must rather take advantage of the interim economic partnership agreement signed with the European Union in July this year. The agreement is said to be welcoming news for exporters, as it allows businesses and industries in Ghana to export to the European Union market without paying duties. Civil society groups and importers are, however, worried Ghana will eventually lose out. William Hanna gives reasons why the agreement is beneficial.
It protects the investments and the jobs and the market access that Ghana already has. I mean, we've done a calculation. There are at least 100,000 jobs that depend on that export market. So through signing and ratifying the interim agreement, Ghana has protected all those jobs, and they're in lots of sectors, particularly in agriculture. So it protects that market access for now and for the future, and all those companies can now increase their investments in their jobs because they know that they've got a market for the product in the end. So very important to protect what you have, but also to create for the future. What I'd say is Ghana's not competing with the European Union. Ghana is competing on our market with other countries like Cote d'Ivoire next door, or like Ecuador, or other countries that produce the same products are also trying to export to our market. So by having the economic partnership agreement, and it's the best agreement you can have. It's duty-free access for all goods, what you're producing today, but also what you might produce in the future, including manufactured goods. All that access, no other country in the world gives that. The European Union provides that, and it allows Ghana to compete with other countries on that market. Then when you look at inside Ghana itself, people are afraid that perhaps Europe might flood the market. Well, I really don't see that happening. At the moment, Ghana exports much more to Europe than it imports. And if you look at what it imports, it's importing in machinery, in heavy goods, in equipment that cannot be manufactured at the moment in Ghana. Also, in the negotiations, the negotiators for Ghana said, look, we have a whole series of sectors here that we'd like to protect. You know, we think that we need to protect these industries. There's a long list. It includes chicken, it includes lots of products, it includes even beer. All those areas are not liberalized. There's a long list, they're not liberalized. So the government has been able to protect those. And there are also measures inside the agreement, which takes place over a long time, to ensure that there wouldn't be dumping. So I know that no agreement in itself is going to change anything. You have to, it's an opportunity that is the best type of agreement that the European Union offers to any countries.
Now, about $400 million from donors could hit government's account in the coming weeks. This was after the country passed the third review under the IMF program. But what could be the impact of this development on the economy and other inflows from investors? George Riafi has more.
Passing the third review resulted in the approval of some $116 million by the IMF board to be disbursed to government. This should hit the Bank of Ghana's account within the next 10 days to support the country's import and export needs. Most of the country's donors had tied the disbursement for projects in the budget for last year and even this year to Ghana passing the third review. This could result in donor partners react quickly in the coming days. The development could also result in other investors who were waiting for this verdict before they react coming quickly with their capital. The city could also benefit greatly from this in terms of its stability. But, as the saying goes, there's no free lunch anywhere. Therefore, this approval by the IMF board will come with some conditionalities, which might not go down well sections of the public and even elements within government when they are fully implemented.
That was George Riafi in that business report there. Now, the Ghana Statistical Service yesterday released the second quarter GDP estimates and said the rate slowed down to 2.5%. The service industry was cited as the service cited recent challenges with crude production on Jubilee and recent power crisis as key drivers for the slowdown as compared to the same period in 2015. George Riafi again assesses the situation in this business desk report.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, these were the reasons for the slowdown in economic growth for the second quarter of this year. Results in GDP growth hit 2.5% from 3.5% in the same period in 2015. The services sector led the pack with the highest growth of 6%, followed by agric with 4.1%. whilst industry went down by 5%. The services sector's growth was influenced by significant activities in hotel and restaurant and information and communication. Now let's look at the value of the economy in monetary terms. Well, according to the Statistical Service, the Ghanaian economy in monetary terms as of December last year was worth 138 billion Ghana cedis. Now when this amount is shared among the total population, everyone should get little over 5,000 Ghana cedis.
All right, so that was George Riafi again. We're trying to get in touch with an economist to also share his thoughts on the implications of this particular development on the economy. And as and when we get through to the economist, we'll put him through and get his views. Now, moving on, the investing public will soon be able to buy treasury bills and possibly trade using their mobile phones. This will be made possible as ECOBANK rolls out a new product in partnership with telecom giant MTN Ghana today. Now, previously, the Bank of Ghana sees this move as part of strategies to help mobilize funds outside the banking system.
The traditional way of offering financial services, going to a physical branch, has two constraints. One, distance to our what you call the general masses in Africa. Distance is an issue, and then the cost of doing the service itself is high, and therefore a lot of people have kept their money out of the financial system. What we're introducing here is to bring the use of mobile phones, use of the mobile channel to bring financial services to every Ghanaian. Bring it into their homes, into their shops, with them on their mobile phone. You just dial *777# and you are able to transact. You're able to save, you're able to borrow, you're able to make payments, you're able to check your balances. Everything you would like to do walking into a traditional bank branch, you're able to do on your phone. As you know, mobile penetration is very high in Africa, it's very high in Ghana. There are 26 million people in Ghana. Today there are more than 16 million mobile wallets, and therefore we are able to bring financial services to reach every Ghanaian at the comfort, the convenience, and at the cost that is sustainable both to the customer and to us as investors.
It's still live on the marketplace, and staff of telecom company Expresso are making a case for government through the National Communications Authority, NCA, and the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations to intervene in their plight. The workers yesterday staged a protest over the unpaid salaries at the head office premises at Abilinkpe here in Accra. Now, they insist management's failure to duly pay them their salaries and social security contributions in the last 18 months compelled them to take this course of action. Speaking with Joy Business, the General Secretary of the Local Communications Workers Union, Edward Anane, blamed the NCA for their woes, saying it has failed to bring management and the board to task the industry regulator.
The company not making any headway, I believe NCA should also be held responsible. We try to call on the minister by channeling it through our heads in the national level. But all proof futile. We don't know. They are still making their way through to see how best they can get in touch with the Minister of Communication for him to address the plight of Expresso. And also we are calling on the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, to also come into the aid, because this is employer labor matters, and I believe he should be made aware of the plight on Expresso staffs. Next line of action, we're still communicating with our national level people, as in the GS and the General Secretary and his team, to give us the way forward, because all the correspondence, we do not take all the powers into our own hands.
This is the marketplace. You can stay interactive with us by tweeting your comments, suggestions, and questions on at Joy Business GH. That's our tweeting handle. And of course, if you are a Facebooker, you can go to Joy Business at our page. You like it and take part in the program. And for more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. We're taking a short break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, the domestic market for fruit juice has become very vibrant, and that's because consumers are increasingly appreciating the health benefits and the natural taste. However, about 70% of these juice products are imported outside the country. Now, are imported into the country. Let's have a repeat of the Joy Business Van, where entrepreneur Emmanuel Opariado shares his experience in the fresh fruit processing business.
Fruit juices are the most consumed beverage next to water, and here in Ghana, patronage is growing. Join our visit today to Wager to meet Emmanuel Opariado, the entrepreneur behind the locally produced real vine pineapple juice.
So we are making some fruit juice today. Fruit juice. Is it a tedious thing to do? It's very tedious, thinking about the fact that you have to deal with fresh fruits, cut them, make sure you have the best, take every spot thing out of it. After that, we feed straight to the machine with juice, bottle, and we are good to go. So let's get to work then. Sure.
For Emmanuel, this fresh fruit juice startup is living out a dream he had.
So why fruits?
Well, fruits because I realized I really had to do something. I remember one day I was in a Trotsky, and there's this group they have. It's an association of graduates, unemployed graduates rather. And I said, well, if I'm going to look for a job, even if government has to consider anybody, they are going to consider them first because they have a voice. And I don't have a voice. So what can I do? I took to the internet and I realized, well, I could try my hands on juice.
Emmanuel, who pursued banking and finance in the university, didn't really have a unique skill in making fruit juice. He developed the skill over time, doing research and experimenting with his blender at home.
I even wanted to do smoothies.
Wow.
So I kept trying and trying and trying till I realized, well, this one was going to sell. Because anybody I gave to, I said, try. They tried and it went well.
Okay.
It was good.
Okay, so tell me about your first day doing this seriously.
My first day doing this seriously, I spoke to a company. It was around Christmas, and they said they were going to have a party. So they just gave me the order out of the blue. I gave somebody some of the juice to taste. He liked it. And then we started. It's time to process now.
Producing fresh fruit juice meant Emmanuel had to ensure his products sell quickly, and that was a challenge at the beginning.
Sometimes you have to produce, and when you produce, you have no one to buy. This is fresh juice too, so you have to either give it out, or when it goes bad, you pour it out.
And this time you do feel like just quitting?
I really felt like quitting, but I had put a lot into it. And I had to prove to everyone that sought to say that it might not work out for me. So I just kept going.
Emmanuel developed a strategy to target corporate institutions with his product. Sales began to pick up, and that he attributes to the quality of his product as well. Today, Emmanuel has his own space and he's able to produce thousands of bottled juice a day. Making juice, Emmanuel tells me, is now more than a business.
There's so much I've learned. I've learned how to manage, how to handle people. It has shaped my life, made me more responsible. Because if you joke with your job, your only job that you have, then means you're not going to eat. So a lot of diligence, waking up in the morning, the disappointments have made me stronger. People turning you down, especially when you approach them to market your products to them. The way some people even look at you, the way some people talk to you, it's as if you want to beg them. But through everything, God has been good, God has been faithful, and we are still looking up to God to see where He takes us.
And it's delivery time.
That was a smart and enterprising move there by young entrepreneur Emmanuel Opare-Addo. Now, finally, on the marketplace, global fish production is nearing unsustainable levels as about 90% of the world's fish stock is depleted due to overfishing. That's according to the 2016 Food and Agriculture Report, which estimates a 17% increase in production to meet global demand by 2025. Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Sherry Aite, says Ghana spends about $150 million annually to import fish to make up for the shortfall of 430,000 metric tons. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin finds out in the following report.
For the first time, global per capita fish consumption has risen to about 20 kilograms a year. In Ghana, it is about 25 kilograms.
Fish contributes 60% of our protein intake, and Ghanaians, we consume about 25 kilos of fish a year. Fish gives us a lot of vitamins, and the fishery sector contributes about 5.5% to agricultural GDP. And we also export fish, and the fishery products that we export from marine, from aquaculture is over $500 million.
Fish contributes to food security in many regions of the world, providing a valuable supplement for diversified and nutritious diet. While global exports amounted to $148 billion in 2014, Ghana is spending about $150 million annually to import fish to make up for the shortfall of 430,000 metric tons.
In Ghana, we consume almost 980,000 metric tons of fish. Nana, we produce only 450,000 metric tons. So, Nana, you know there's a deficit. And we can solve the problem of the deficit through aquaculture.
We are making progress. Hitherto, most of the fisheries have been limited or development in what we call capture fisheries. Capture fisheries means that you are catching from the wild, from the seas, from the rivers and what. Now all these fish from those rivers have reached what we call their carrying capacity. We don't expect any significant catch from them. So it means we need to manage them, and we manage them by putting in place regulations.
Of the world's top 30 fish-consuming nations, 22 are in the United Nations low-income food deficit category. 12% of the world's population now relies directly or indirectly in the fishery industry. Well, how about Ghana?
This sector employs about 2.5 million people of Ghana, representing about 10% of our population.
The success of the aquaculture production industry in Ghana is dependent on quality and availability of fish feed. The pilot aquaculture center was established to provide fingerlings for fish farmers in the northern sector of the country.
The center here is to produce this tilapia fingerlings. What we are able to produce annually is about 4 million fingerlings that can supply the whole or the other part of the country.
A 2015 study from the World Wildlife Fund finds climate change is one of the main reasons for the decline of marine species in the last 30 years. These changes affect fisheries worldwide, but the impact is likely to be particularly damaging for fisheries in developing countries like Ghana.
But because during every variance, we can lose about more than a million, and that one too. If to the flood, it takes everything away, including our broodstock, our parent fish that we use in producing our fingerlings. So everything was taken away.
Ghana is making tremendous effort to produce 100,000 metric tons of fish by 2018. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reporting.
Well, on that note, we wrap up this edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for your company. And, of course, you join me again same time tomorrow for another interesting package. My name is Emmanuel Abwaji-Wiafi. You can stay interactive with us by tweeting your comments, questions, suggestions, and what have you on Joy Business GH. That's our tweeting handle. And on Facebook, Joy Business is our page. For more business, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Good afternoon.